code and a QR code.
Download the Mpa iReceipt Yange app or visit our website to participate in the promotion and stand a chance to win massive prizes.
Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together.
Hello, landlady.
Hello.
I'm from URA. I'm here to remind you to register, file, and pay your rental income tax.
I'm on top of it. I've already registered, filed, and paid my rental income tax.
Oh, wow. So rental income is the amount of money derived by a person for the year of income from letting land or buildings.
Oh, I see. Okay, let me get started.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, Mama, you as an individual who earns more than 2,820,000 shillings a year as your rental income from this place, you will only be taxed 12%. A company like yours that earns rental income is allowed up to 50% in terms of expenses for the particular year of income. And the balance is taxed at a rate of 30%.
Wow, that sounds reasonable and fair.
Oh yeah, it's all about property prosperity and making well-informed financial decisions.
Wow, let's get started then.
Okay.
We call upon all landlords and landladies to register, file correct returns, and pay in time to avoid penalties that may come with failure to do so. Visit the URA website www.ura.go.ug or call the toll-free line to get started.
Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together.
Ojja kumpa irisiti tompa bidala irisiti ojja kumpa irisiti tompa bidala mpa irisiti yange. That's right, insist on getting your e-receipt. It's your ticket to fantastic prizes including motorbikes, laptops, fridges and a fully paid 6-day safari for 2 in Uganda. Take a picture of your e-receipt, upload it to the URA website or mobile app and you could be the lucky winner. The more receipts you upload, the higher your chances of winning. Terms and conditions apply. More details on our social media channels.
Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together.
Uganda is rich in natural resources and hard-working people. But to turn these resources into real progress and development, we need to invest in our infrastructure, education, and healthcare. That's where taxes come in. When we pay our taxes, we are investing in our country's future. We are supporting the schools that educate our children, the hospitals that care for our families, and the roads and bridges that connect our communities. And when businesses pay their taxes, they are contributing to the growth and development of Uganda's economy. They are helping to build a stronger, more prosperous nation for us all. So when you pay your taxes, you are investing in the future of Uganda and supporting the progress and development of our nation. Uganda is because of you.
Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together.
URA, sinaba kusasula msolo Janet. Lete basaje nakuwa. Bannange sinasasula URA. Aya, esawa zigenda kuggwayo. Sibye bino, waliwo basaje nasembayo kuwa. Aya, esawa zonna. Ebiyinza okuba nga bye bino kangende biranja bikeberere. Afande, njagala kudduka genda kusasula musolo ngenda kusanga basibyewo.
Nyabo, ekyo kibadde kipakusa. Tokimanyi nti URA yabigonza dda. Kati usokusasula kusimyo nyabo.
Nti afande.
Onyigawunize star 285 ogoberera emitendera egyo ng'ofuna ka message. Ate URA yakuwaliza ekyapula. Teba kubanga URA
Thank you so much, Afande.
Okalubirizibwa okusasula omusolo gwa bizinesi y'omubudde genda bugenze mu ssimu y'onyige kamunyenye 285#. Abaddukanya bizinesi entono eziyingiza wakati wa miliyoni 10 ne miliyoni 15 omwaka bakwanguyirwa okusasula omusolo gwabwe ogwa presumptive tax nga banyigabanyizi kamunyenye 285#, banyumirwe enkola enennyangu etali mu nsindikagano.
Nyabo, bannange bya ddala. Janet, omuntu awonye layini. Gwe, nyina kusasuliranga ku ssimu labayo bannange.
Tuzimbire wamu ebiseera by'omu maaso ebitangaavu nga tunyiga kamunyenye 285# olunaku lwonna, essaawa yonna, wonna w'oli. Uganda Revenue Authority, tukulaakulanyize wamu Uganda.
Ngasanyusa okulaba nnyabo. Oyagala ku nyumba weeziri, waliwo eri waggulu, waliwo zino zonna ate self contain bulungi. Ennyumba ziggwawo lwa bulungi, tuyingire enkulambuze.
Nedda maama, nze nva mu URA nga nze kujjukiza kusasula rental income tax w'amayumba.
Nnyabo, kuva ddi ng'ennyumba ezange zisasula emisolo? Oli mubbi.
Nedda nnyabo, obadde mu butamanya. Naye buli muntu yenna alina amayumba agapangisibwa, ebizimbe ebipangisibwa, oba ettaka eripangisibwa nga liriko ebikolebwako, nga bivaamu ensimbi ezisukka mu bukadde 2,482 omwaka. Kimukakatako okusasula rental income tax.
Nnyabo, mumanyi ssente ze ntadde mu nnyumba muno? Nyina okusasula abakasasiro, nyina okusasula ab'ebitongole ebikuumi, nyina okusasula bano banjeze lujja, bano bansize langi, bano nkola ntya. Ezo ssente mwe mulowooza nze nzijjawa?
Mama, nkutegeera bulungi. Naye gwe obadde okimanyi nti URA ku nsimbi z'osolooza buli mwaka, URA ejjako obukadde 2,482 kiyite threshold n'ezikulekera nga ze nsimbi zeesuubira okuba nti osaasaanyiza ku
episode of the Live Text Lounge. My name is Anan Priska. I'll be your host today. First, I'd like to start off by apologizing for taking long to start. We had a few glitches, but now we're ready to go. And I would also like to recognize our taxpayers who've been tuned in. Thank you so much for coming on. Emmanuel Kayondo, Enid Namulembwa, Jeka Westa, Katusime, Letitia, Pakuth Godwin. Thank you so much for making the time and joining in our webinar today. So last week at this time, same place, we started off this topic, simplified taxpayer ledger and waiver. And last week we just started off by getting on the surface, right? We didn't get into the meat of the situation. But today we're going to get into the nitty-gritty and just have you know how you can access your ledger and how you can interpret it. So stay tuned and remember, send in your questions from as early as now. Then we'll take them. And in the studio, we are joined by Christine Mirembe. She is back for seconds. Christine, welcome back to the Live Text Lounge. It's great to have you here. And, for the benefit of the taxpayers who probably didn't make it in the previous episode, would you please introduce yourself and tell us what you do at URA? And yeah.
Thank you, Priska. Good morning, our taxpayers. My name is Mirembe Christine, Acting Manager, Debt Management Unit. I'm in charge of ledger reconciliation and areas management. So we are in charge of the debt.
Okay.
Last time we looked at the waiver.
Yes.
We also looked at how to access our ledgers. We talked about the end date particular of the waiver for all those who want to benefit. We said the end date is 31st December. So whoever wants to benefit, they should pay up before 31st December. And we navigated through, we saw how to log in, where do I find my ledger, what has changed, what's new in this tax ledger. And today, we are going to look at the details. If I've accessed my ledger, how can I validate it? How can I tell that these are indeed my transactions? That is going to be our main focus or emphasis for today.
Okay. Thank you very much, Christine. And for our taxpayers, this is going to be a very practical session. So, you can also log in you can visit our website, so that you log in and you follow. You can follow practically still. So Kristen, let's get to it. And I think at this point we'll be able to share our screen. But you know what? Before that, let's do a quick, a more in-detailed recap. What inspired you to shift from the previous ledger to this one that's more simplified?
What inspired URA to move was one, it's not good to provide a service that is not user-friendly or a product. The previous ledger was really hard to interpret for most of our taxpayers. It was complicated. Even those who had mastered it took them a long time to master it.
Okay.
But with this simplified one, once you're given once you're given the first step, everyone can use it, they can navigate. We believe it is more user-friendly, easier to interpret, and we have tried to meet most of our taxpayers' expectations in this new one.
Okay. So now that you've told us about it, can we have a look for ourselves? Yeah. Let's put our money where our mouth is. Let's have a look at how a person like me, a taxpayer, like so many of them who are tuned in, how can I access my ledger and how do I set to interpret?
Okay.
So while we set up?
Yes. So as we said last time, you can only access your ledger or tax statement inside your login. So for illustration purposes, I'm going to log into this demo.
Okay.
Then we see whatever you're going to see is on the test server. These are not true figures. For the name you will see is only for illustration purposes. Don't see some name somewhere and you think it's a true position of our taxpayer. No, just for illustration purposes. So I'm logging in so that we can access our tax statement and we carry on with the illustrations.
Okay.
Even our taxpayers who on their laptops there, you can also try and log into your account so that you can follow through.
It's as practical as possible.
We try it out together.
Excellent.
Okay. Network is kind of slow, but we're going to be patient with us and we'll make it. Okay. Hopefully our viewers are also logging into their accounts. I've been able to log into mine. We said once you're inside your account, you go under the reports, then tax statement, click on it, and then the menu that you're given, you go to view ledger and you select the option of tax position and submit. When you submit, the first summary you get is your tax summary for all the tax types. We'll give you how you're standing, your position. If you have a credit with us, we'll tell you there is a credit you have not yet utilized. And if you have an outstanding, we have a column of outstanding. If you want to get the inner details, then you click on the tax type you're interested in and you go to the level that gives you details. I'm going to click on VAT so that we get inside our tax statement. Now, when you get there, we have several columns. We have the first column being the column of period, then return, assessment, penalty, interest. We have the columns of payment, We have the column of amount allocated to other periods, the waiver, and then the net position. How do I validate my transactions? I've gotten in there. A statement has been given. These figures are not imposed on you by URA. These figures are subject to your validation. How do I validate is the question we're answering today. Now, if you look at column number 2, the one having period, we are no longer having the transactional month. That if you filed 3 returns this month, they are going to be summed up all in the month of November. That is no more. Right now, what we are displaying to you, we have gone period-wise. If you filed a return for January, it will be posted in the month of January. If you've amended a return of June in this month, the amendment will be posted in the month of June. So, for our viewers outside there, for our taxpayers, forget about the old ledger. We are no longer transactional. We are period-wise. So whichever period you're seeing displayed in that column and the figures relating to it, those are the returns that you filed for that month. So if you want to confirm whether it was a single return or you later amended that return, or when did you file that return, you just click on that figure. You don't have to move to URA for details. The only thing you have to do is to click on that figure. I can click on the month of October 2022. When I click on it, you see my display?
Yes.
I have a column of particulars. They tell me this is an original return. There was no amendment. They give me the reference number and when I filed that return, because it came in on time. In case you had been issued a penalty of late filing, you're able to validate that, because we all know that a monthly return is due on the 15th day after the end of month. So if I'm looking at the period of October 2022 and I filed on the 14th of November, it means I was on time. I don't deserve a penalty for late filing. So the date of filing is also displayed to you and how much you filed. And if you're to look in the column of penalty, we have 0. Because this client filed on time.
Yes.
And he has not been audited to deserve any other what? Penalty. So, with just a mere click, you're able to get the full details about your return. Even for those where taxpayers amended, if you click, in case of any amendment, you'll find the details of when you filed the original and how much was it and how much was the amendment. You're able to do so. We have scenarios because the next column is for assessment. Now for the column of return, assessment, penalty and interest, on a click of any of the amounts, you get the details of all those columns. When I click on interest, the detail I'm given, they show me the return I filed, assessment if any, the penalty and then the interest. Why are we doing that? We don't want the client to make several clicks. I want to see the return, you click. You go back, click to get the assessment. No. So all the liabilities on a mere click, you get them in one display on the next level. Let's take an example of December 2021. When I click on the interest, those are my details. They tell me for that particular period, I filed an original return. That was on 14th January 2022. Then I also get my principal tax I filed. And it seems I paid my original return on time because I have no interest charged. It is 0. And then for that particular period, I was also audited. Since I have an audit, they show me under particulars that I have an audit assessment. They give me a reference. And when that audit was conducted, when that assessment was issued, how much it is, the additional assessment or the audit assessment, and the interest that was charged on that particular assessment. In the previous ledger, it was very hard for you to relate this interest to which liability does it belong.
Yeah.
Because you just have an assessment there, the return is there, and if you're to dig deeper, they tell you interest is this. You can't
So it
really
wasn't.
account for it properly. But for this ledger, we show you that the liability that brought up this interest it's the assessment. For the return, there was no interest.
Okay.
So if you're to validate this interest, what are the steps? How can I tell that this interest is correct?
Yeah.
The question would be, because first things first, when is interest charged? Interest is only charged if one pays late.
Okay.
If you're paid early, there's no need of
for interest.
So if you're to validate your interest, it means you have to look at when you paid, because each period has the payment due date.
Yes, that's true.
So let's validate the interest that was charged on this particular period. They are not charging any interest on the original return. Was it paid on time? Or the URS system has a problem? For the audit assessment, we are seeing there a figure of 11.2. Was this person supposed to be charged interest? Okay, let's validate that. For you to validate that, we said we are going to first look at the payment date.
Okay.
We are still under the period of December 2021. I'm going to go to my column of payments, still under the period of December 2022. When you look at that period, we have a lot of money in terms of payments. You see the PRNs?
Yes.
They are quite a lot. So if you look at those payments, we have under payments, we have about 3 columns. We have the column of PRNs, we have a column of WHT credit, and a column of offset received in bracket other periods. These are all forms of payments. When you go to the bank and make a payment, those direct payments to URA, we record them under PRN because they have payment reference numbers. When you're withheld from, that's an advance payment. That money is also remitted to URA through the withholding agent. So once they withhold from you and they declare to us that they withheld from you, and they also declare your team, that credit directly comes to your ledger as a payment, and it will be posted in the column of WHT credit.
Okay.
Then for the offset received column, if you have an offset this month, let me say for the month of August, you had an offset, and you would love to use that offset to clear the liability of October. The moment you allow that utilization and the credit moves from the month of August to the month of October to clear the liability, it means the month of October has received an offset from August. And that offset will be recorded in the column of offset received in the month of October. And in the month where it was got from, it will be recorded in the column of amount allocated to other periods.
Okay.
As you can see, for the column for the period of August 2022, they had an offset, but this offset is being, we have a similar figure recorded in the column of amount allocated to other periods. it means this credit is already utilized. So if you record it here, it nets it off and the net position becomes 0. Because yes, we had your credit, but you've used it to clear some liabilities. If you want to see where your credit was allocated, you just click on that amount. And when you click on it, we give you the detail that yes, you had a credit. This credit had an effective date of September 15th, 2022. This will show it was coming from the previous month of what? August. Because the offset is due on the 15th of the following month. That's the effective payment date that we take. We'll show you how much it was. We'll show you the period, the previous period it came from, and where it was allocated. So this particular offset was allocated to several periods. We can see Feb 2023 got a portion, December 2022, October 2022, and September 2022 got a portion. And this credit was transferred to those periods on the date of 20th November 2023. And the portion each of these periods got is the last column amount transferred. So in case you have a credit in a particular period and it's utilized by the other periods, that credit will be recorded in the column of amount allocated to other periods. And to the periods that received it, it will be in the column of offset received. Feb 2023 was among the periods that received the what? The credit. So when I click on the offset received from other periods in the month of Feb 2023, if I click on it, they'll tell me that they'll give me the details, and they tell me the credit of 72 million was got from the period of what? The period of August. Because of the effective date, 15th September, we know it came from August 2022. Even how much was picked from there, we show you here the 72. So for every detail you want to know, you just have to click on that figure and we'll give you the details. Back to the validation of our interest. We're looking at the period of December 2021. We said the first thing we do is to get the details of our payment. Did we pay on time? Did we deserve the interest? So I'll click on the figure of payment. When I click on it, we have some unutilized where you see the NAs. Those ones are not utilized because we saw excess of about 200. The payments were over 280. Yet our liability was not even making it to 100 million. It means we have a lot of unutilized credits in that period. So our first payment is the payment that was made on the 15th of January 2022. It was 12 million, and this was allocated to, part of it was put to original return. So December 2021, what was the payment due date? That is the 15th of January 2022. And the payment was also made on January 2022. I think that explains the reason as to why no interest was charged on our original return.
Okay.
Now for URA, we account for each and every penny. When the taxpayer was making this payment, he made an excess of 1 shilling. That 1 shilling is allocated to the audit assessment. If you look at line number 1, we are seeing the same payment, but the audit assessment is getting a portion of 1 shilling. We account for each and every penny.
Okay.
So when we clear that 1 shilling, that means the assessment out of audit will be reduced by 1 shilling and we'll proceed with the other outstanding amount. When is the other amount paid? If you look at the next payment we're allocating, it came in on the 27th of Feb 2023. Yet the due date, the payment due date for this period had not changed. It means this money was delayed. So is the 11.24 million the right interest to be charged on this period? Let's see. Let's confirm and see whether it was the right interest amount to be charged on this particular period. Follow me through. What do we need? We need our payment date, which is the 27th of Feb 2023. We also need our principal tax. Then we compute. This is VAT, so it will be the compounded interest. So I'll bring our principal amount here. Our payment date was 27th of Feb 2023. This is the payment date. And what is our due date? The due date, we said the 15th of January 2022. I think we can all now have access to the screen. Okay, so that was our due date. For us to compute compounded interest, what is the formula? Because this is VAT, we all know it is 2% per month compounded. Our formula is principal times, let me use an axiom, times 1 plus the rate, which is 0. Let me just put R to stand for the rate, which is 0.02 to the power n. N is how late the payment was. And then minus the principal tax. That's our formula. We have the P, which is here the principal tax, our audit assessment. We have the rate, which is 2%, the 0.02. Now we have to find out how late was the payment. Remember, the law says 2% per month. So I'll first get my N, which would be the payment date minus the due date. It would give me days, and the law says per month, so I divide by 30. So I was late, or that taxpayer was late for 13.6 months. So let's compute our interest. Okay, this will be equal to our principal tax times 1.02 to the power n minus P, which is our principal. So that is our interest. When you look at that interest, there is a point, 0.89. And for money, we don't round off, we truncate. So the rightful figure would be 1124456. Let me put commas so that we can see our figures clearly. The 4's the 2. What am I missing here? It is 11,244. Put commas here. Okay, now here round. When you automatically put commas, it rounds off. So it is 224. There's a 6 here. Okay. So this would be our interest. Is it what our ledger has? I have to go back and confirm. Okay, let me share this. So if you look at our ledger, we have 11 0.244656. I guess that's what we got in our computation.
Yeah.
For those who have been following. It means as long as URA has been transparent enough to show you which payment is allocated to that liability and which liability are they clearing, everyone outside there can now validate their interest. You don't have to move to URA to confirm whether the interest they charged on you is correct or wrong.
Yeah.
Because before, our taxpayers, this was very hard for them. One would not disclose where we are allocating your payments. Even those who would try and find out, they would get stuck on the credits. Because for the credits, we didn't have a link.
Okay.
But now we have opened up this.
Very transparent.
If you're not a person of numbers, at least your accountant can do it for you.
Yeah.
Because some of I know,
yeah,
we're back in
Greek.
class, we had people who had phobia for numbers. Whenever you talk math, they just switch off. So if you're a person who has phobia for numbers, still, your accountant can do it for you. Yes. But I believe if you can validate your bank statement, you can also validate this tax statement. Because with all these columns, as we have seen, they stand alone. If you filed 7 million and you find 6, you can easily ask URA, where did you get the 7? Before we would mix it with other transactions and the person would get confused. But right now, look at my display. I'm telling you, this is your return, this is the interest, and this is the payment that you used to clear. In case you're not satisfied with the interest, it's a matter of getting your payment details to confirm when did you make the payment. Compare it with the due date of that particular period, and you validate the interest. So everything right now is clear. We are training you on this so that you can own it, because this is your statement, not our statement. The figures in there are not just being imposed on you, but we are just displaying how you transacted.
Okay.
If you have any complaint, if at all there's some withholding tax you expect to see on your ledger and you're not seeing it, it's maybe your withholding agent did declare your TIN. If you're a victim, contact us and let us know how we can help you. Because some of you those days, whenever you'd be given a TIN certificate, you would not bother to find out whether your TIN has been declared. And the unique identifier we have as URA is a TIN. Because we can have Mirembe and Brothers, Mirembe and Sons, Mirembe and Company. So if the withholding agents only put Mirembe, who's the owner of the credit, it would be so hard to tell. But if they put your TIN, it means you can easily get your credit. We found out that weakness, and in March this year, URA made the TINs mandatory for the withholding agents when they're declaring. However, we have a backlog for those who are affected. If you're a victim, kindly you can reach us through your touch point, give us your query or write to us the letter, and then we'll sort you out. But what we are encouraging right now is only and only transparency. Whatever figure that is on your tax statement can be validated. We have another column for a tax waiver.
Yes, that's the part that some people are already asking about in the comments. Yes.
Now we have about 2 types of waivers now. We have the old one, the COVID waiver. That was 40C, the old one. If you want to validate and see, did I benefit? You can also do that using the same column, because that waiver was way back. Those who had outstanding interest and penalties are that 30th June 2023. That is the column that we use. So if I want to see whether I benefited, you got those old periods. You'll find amount within that column of tax waiver. When you click on it, that figure, as we say, it's now a matter of clicking, not running to URA, but clicking. We have made things that easy.
That's seamless.
Yes.
Just a click away.
You click. So as I've clicked on that figure, they have told me to the period of December 2018, this waiver was awarded on 1st July 2020. It is under Section 40C. This is the COVID waiver for the period of December 2018, and the amount that was waived was 5.6. So I know the type of waiver.
Okay.
What about this most
That's fine.
recent waiver? You look at the recent periods. If you're one person who paid your principal, like if you look at my screen, look at the period of May 2023. The taxpayer returned 2.6 and the payment was made. When was the payment made? If you click on it, the payment was made on the 7th of what? November 2023.
Made it on time.
Meaning by the time the taxpayer made this payment, he already had the interest. And he paid his what? Principal tax. So if you make your payment, you qualify for the waiver, because May 2023 is part of what? The periods which are within the scope of the waiver.
Okay. Which are? Just please.
Okay.
remind
The
me.
periods which are within the scope of the waiver are the periods whose due dates are prior to 30th June 2023.
Okay.
So the due date of May
May
is 15th June. So May qualifies, meaning from May backwards, as long as you had outstanding interest, the keyword outstanding interest and penalties as at 30th June 2023, that period qualifies as long as you pay the principal tax. So this taxpayer paid the principal tax, and immediately
Automatically
you
it's waived.
received
The
the
principal.
payment, the waiver was auto. Once you make your payment, you don't have to write to URA to give you the waiver. It's your right.
Okay.
You only have to fulfill your obligation of making the payment.
So what if I make half payment?
If you make half payment, you also receive a waiver.
Waiver.
And I have an example here. We can look at the period of June 2022. The taxpayer had a liability of 23 million. If you look at my screen, line 17, had a principal tax of 23, interest of 5.6, and they only remitted 16 million, meaning the principal tax is still what? Outstanding. When you come to the waiver, we also waived only what? 2.6. So if you pay us in halves, we also waive in halves. If you pay in quarters, we waive in quarters.
An eye for an eye. Okay.
Yes. And I emphasize the end date of that waiver is 31st December 2023. Kindly, whoever is interested in benefiting, make your payment before the end of
the year.
31st December 2023. The moment you see fireworks, the waiver has ended. It's over. So our last column on this tax statement is the column of net position. How do we come up with the net position? If you have, I'll use an example of the period of maybe May. So we'll add up your principal tax, which is 2.6, add the assessment, add the penalty, add the interest, and subtract your payment. And also subtract the waiver.
Okay.
Because if you don't subtract the waiver, it means you show a position or you're demanding someone. So we get the principal, the liabilities, those are the returns, assessment, penalty, and interest, sum them up. Then we subtract the payments and also subtract the amount that we are, for those who had offset, the amounts that we had allocated to other periods, and also subtract the waiver, and then we get a net position. If you got the period of August, we had an offset. If you have an offset, you expect no payment, right? but the amount was allocated to other periods. So we add it to this offset and get a 0. So for the column of amount allocated to other periods, we add it back because the amount is already used by another period. So with that, I believe our taxpayers can now validate their transaction.
That's true. Thank you so much, Christine. It's been very exhaustive. I'm sure our taxpayers and there's actually feedback coming in. Your flowers are coming in. People from watching from all over the country, from Busia, from Masaka, and Benson Nahurira is saying this is very helpful. Justin Lubanga Kene says, good job on clarity of the tax. So yeah, good feedback coming in. Thank you to our taxpayers also for watching. We really appreciate you for doing so. Please send in your questions because at this point we're going to get into the Q&A. And we'll start with Delik Kanyesije. He's saying, where are the narrations? Previously, we had narrations of each figure, which would make it simpler for us to make ledger analysis.
We had the narrations, but they weren't making sense to most of our taxpayers. We have reduced the words and pronounced the figures. Now, if you remember in the previous ledger, let me just click on the amount, maybe the December 21 period for details.
Okay.
You see the particulars we are displaying would tell the taxpayer this being the original return of December 2021. A long sentence.
Yes.
Then we put debit or credit. So if it is an offset return, we would put the figure in the column of offset. Or we put it in the column of debit if it's a positive. Now in the summarized ledger, would still just go and put figures. Actually, summarized I didn't have the narrations. Narrations were in the detailed one. But here, what we had put for you in words, we just summarize them. And the particulars, instead of putting the many words, this being, we just put original return. We show you when you filed it and how much you filed. We tell you this is an audit assessment. So that you know, I had an audit around that time. We show you how much was approved. So for this new one, we have reduced the word.
And it's very inclusive because even someone who doesn't have an accounting background can easily, figure it out. And so, Delik, there's your feedback. Delik is the CPA, so I think it makes sense where he's coming from. Okay, and then we have someone called Benson Nahura. He has a question now. In case you have nil principal tax to pay, but with a penalty, how do you benefit from the waiver?
One is the period within the scope. If yes, we don't register parent at a 0. Same applies to taxpayers who had paid up their principal tax by June. Because we have taxpayers who cleared the principal amount. By June, they had finished. But they only had outstanding interest and penalties. The law says if you've paid up by 31st December, it does not say that you must have paid after.
Okay.
So for those who had paid up all their principal tax by 30th June 2023, you also benefit. However, for those who had paid half, maybe your original principal tax was 10 million. And by 30th June, you had an outstanding principal tax of 5. For you to benefit from the waiver, you have to first pay the 5. So that's when the law came in place.
Okay.
The other ones of 0 is an exception because you can't tell them, go and register PRN of 0 amount. It's for you to benefit. So if you have an outstanding principal tax by 30th June, kindly pay that principal tax so that you benefit. If you had paid up your principal tax, and when you look through your tax statement and you match your return or the assessment with the PRN and is fully paid, and you only have interest outstanding in the column of net position, you also qualify for the waiver. For the periods from June 2023 to date, they are not within the scope of the waiver.
Okay.
From June 2023 to date, they are not within the scope.
Okay. This brings us to Sam Odeke. He's asking, why is the interest accumulating and yet I have paid due to unallocated payments?
Oh, now for those who have unallocated payments, we're still training our taxpayers to see because we are going to give you a functionality of transferring those credits to the rightful period. But before URA gives you the functionality, it had to first train you so that you don't misuse. So trainings are going on. We are going to put out different clips for those who missed the trainings, to also have the steps. Once we are done with that, in a few days, actually from today, we are going to give you that functionality. Make sure you transfer your credits to the rightful periods, and the interest that had accrued in that period because of the missing credit will be reversed.
Okay, there you go, Sam. So, look out for the trainings, and even on your TV, we shall definitely, have a session and just to ensure that you're enriched. So, yeah, look out for that, Sam. Okay, we have a question from Joel Nkumbi. Okay, please explain on how to use unutilized credit from the summary page, because the net position is different from summary ledger.
The net position, yes. Why the net position is different? Because most of you are just, when you export it to Excel, you just add up what is in the net position. You're adding the positive with the negative. You're supposed to filter out the positive, sum them alone.
Okay.
The negative, sum them up alone. But, it's very funny to tell a taxpayer, we have your money, also have our debt. It then makes sense. This whole thing will make sense after you've allocated your credits to the rightful positions, the rightful periods. Once you allocate them, it means you have one position. You either be in the credit position when you have some money unutilized with URA, or in a payable position. So right now, it's not making sense to some taxpayers because of that. And the main cause of the unallocated credits is one. The main cause. Most of you, when the law changed in July 2021, allowing you to choose the periods to pay, you didn't, and URA changed the screen of payment registration, asking you, whenever you'll be making a payment, would ask you which period are you paying for. Some of our taxpayers didn't take it serious. They would choose any random period as long as URA has what? Received the money. Now the money was allocated to the periods that you selected. What does it mean? If you intended to pay for April and you selected May, which didn't have a liability, May has an overpayment. And April still has the debt. So not until you transfer that credit from May to April, you'll have a funny position of you have a debt in April and you have an overpayment in May. And the overpayment can come even through as an excess payment through WHT credit. You may find someone had credit, but when they were paying, they paid as though they don't have the credit.
Okay.
We said URA accounts for each and every penny. Your credit will be in that period. So you'll have an excess in that particular period, and then in the other, you will have a debt. So what you have to do once we give you the functionality, kindly transfer that credit from where it is, where you have an excess, and allocate it in the period where you have a debt. So that you end up with one position, either in a credit position or in a debt. So I would also emphasize this to our taxpayers: as you're making a payment to URA, kindly choose the right period, so that once we have reconciled this, once this is done, you don't get those errors again of I have a credit here and a payable here.
Okay.
It really looks funny.
Yeah.
And we only have, they will not take away the functionality, you still have it, but use it where you've made an error. Okay.
Thank you so much, Christine. And that's for you, Joel Nkumbi. You've been a good viewer from the start of the webinar you've been on, and I'm sure you've gotten your response. Okay, so Arnold K is saying, thanks for the show. Kindly practically show us how to utilize the unutilized credit. We would like to pay the principal and benefit for the current waiver, but objection and ADR are slow in disposing the pending cases. How can we be helped?
Okay, one, I'll take back the feedback to the ADR and objections team.
Okay.
Because for objections, they have, by law, they only have 90 days.
Yes.
So they can't go past the 90 days. If at all you want yours to be completed in 1 month, so that you can also benefit, maybe what I would advise, you can walk there. The office is open. Talk to them. Make sure you've submitted each and every document they need. Because for an objection or a decision in ADR to be taken, there are some documents they normally request for. Play your part, submit all the required documents, and do a follow-up. Because the URA office is an open office. And it's open to all our taxpayers. So walk there. Objections team sits on upper ground. Walk there. Confirm whether you submitted whatever they need. And if you did, kindly just give them a reminder.
That's true.
And they work on it. Same applies to ADR. They sit on 4th floor and the others on the 17th. Walk there depending on which team is handling your case. If you submitted whatever they had requested for, give them a kind reminder. Tell them you want to benefit from 40D. They will finish up the case before at least 31st December.
That's true.
So for one who asked for a practical session to show you how you can transfer the credit,
It's still Arnold.
I thought this would be for the next webinar.
Okay, we'll have it in the next one. Because I think I know I'll join in a bit late, but we'll do it in the next webinar because these are sequential. You know, we started last week, this week, and we'll do another one next week. So I know, just keep tuned in to our URA TV shows. Okay, then we have anonymous attendee. For some reason, these are usually my favorite ones. Can I use my Escuda credits to settle my DT income tax liability?
The answer yes, but which DT tax type? That would be income tax. Actually, once your goods are exited, whatever withholding credit that was withheld from you during that process, you will find it in your income tax statement in the column of WHT credit. They are interlinked.
All right.
So the moment you receives the money that exits your goods, immediately your credit is posted in your tax statement.
Okay, there you go. Anonymous. And then there's another question from personal. Is it possible for the ledger not to be reconciled for some days, or it's instant, as I have seen where offsets are captured in return column and net position but not captured under offset column? Thank you, Farouk. This is Farouk.
Oh, if the offset is captured in the column of return and in the net position column and not in the offset received or amount allocated to other periods, it means that offset is not yet utilized. It's not by mistake. Only utilized offsets will be in the column of amount allocated to other periods. We don't want to cheat you and knock off your credit before you've utilized it. So once it's not utilized, if you're to look at my screen, look at the period of June 2023. I have an offset of 45 there. So when I walk through the other columns, even under amount allocated to other periods, there is nothing, zero. So my net position for that period is negative 45 because I've not yet used my offset to clear any liability.
Okay.
So it's still there.
All right. Farouk, there you go. Thank you so much for sharing your question with us. Sally Tony from Facebook is asking, what is the principal tax when reviewing that ledger? My thinking is principal tax would not include interest and penalties.
True. And if you're one person who wants to benefit from the waiver, you've allocated all your credits, you're sure you want to benefit, how do you see it? Let me show you something small so that you can appreciate the outstanding principal element. You will go to the payment screen, try to generate a payment slip. Up there, choose domestic taxes because the waiver is only for domestic taxes. The next section is for your details because you're within your account. Period selection, you have to choose one of the two, but test all. I'm taking a sample of period up to July 2021. Since I want to benefit from the waiver, I'll use the account payment because I want the payment screen to look into my tax statement and only give me where I have outstandings. So I'll click on the account payment, maybe select VAT as the tax type, and then I fetch the outstanding. When I do that, they give me one consolidated figure, but I want to see the breakdown of what is my outstanding principal tax and what is my outstanding interest. So I'll click on the breakup and they'll separate them for me. I have the outstanding principal tax, outstanding interest, independent. Since this period is within the scope, if I try to pay full, they will tell me a pop-up message will appear reading amount should not exceed the principal amount for this period because it's within the waiver period. So when I say okay, when I click on OK, then only the principal amount will be the amount to be paid. So we separate the principal from the interest. If you want to benefit from 40D, you go to the screen, the payment screen. That's when you'll be able to see the two separated. If you have half amounts, you just type in and say, this is how much I can pay. URA is ready to receive all sorts of payment. We don't say no to money because our mandate is to collect that tax. Whoever is willing to develop the country with us, we collect whatever you're willing to pay.
That's true. Okay. That's it, Sally. I hope you got your response. Kodong is also coming in with a question. He's saying, kindly guide more on section 38 of the TPC, in bracket order of payment.
The order of payment allocation, before July 2021, we had strict payment allocation rules, which instructed us to recover tax in the order of principal, penalty, and then interest. And in scenarios where a taxpayer made a payment and they had more than one liability, Jan has a liability, Feb has a liability, even March has a liability. You have more than one. Yet the payment you've made is not big enough to recover the total outstanding. The law instructed us to recover the oldest liability first in the order of principal, penalty, interest. But after July 2021, subsection 2 that talked of the oldest liability first was repealed. Now the law does not go backwards. It does not act retrospective. It only goes up front. That's why for the periods from July 2021, we allow taxpayer to choose which period are you paying for. So when you choose the period, since subsection 1 of 38 is still in existence, that will allocate your payments in the order of principal, penalty, and then interest, Once you choose a period, we'll direct your payment to the principal of that period first,
Okay.
then penalty, and then interest. But for periods prior to that, the strict allocation rules are still there. And it's the reason as to why when you go on the payment screen, we separated the period. We have the period before July and the periods after July 2021. It's because of section 38. All the periods have those strict allocation rules. You would file your return today of about 5 million. You pay the 5 million. But because you had an older debt of about 7, the law would not allow us to allocate the 5 million to your return.
Okay.
We would automatically allocate it to the 7 million. But right now, after the repeal, if you're making your 5 million, we'll ask you which period are you paying for. If you say I'm paying for my return of October 2022, your payment will be directed to the October 22 return. If you say I'm paying for the older debt for the periods before July 2021, still your payment will go in that older period and look out for the oldest liability and clear it.
Okay. Okay.
So that's what I can say about section 38.
Okay. Thank you very much, Kristen. We have more questions coming in. Simon Peter is asking. Okay, let me just take it in order. Before Simon Peter, anonymous attendee. In case an assessment was raised in November 2023, but however, it relates to say March 2022. Can I use my credits to settle this additional assessment?
It's your money.
Your money, use it
if
however
you have
you wish.
any unutilized credit anywhere, transfer it to that period, the liability will be cleared.
Okay, your money, your rules. Simon Peter from Facebook. In case I make a return with employment income, but the employer did not indicate my TIN. As a result, I have a pending tax to be paid. What do I do in such a scenario?
Way back, we used to tell our taxpayers, go back to the person who withheld from you, go back to your employer,
and
they amend the returns, put your TIN so that your credit can be. What we realized as URA, most of those withholding agents, your employers, never wanted to amend those returns. So our taxpayers would be tossed up and about. We developed a functionality of helping out our taxpayers. So if you're among those who are affected, just send us your query either through your touch point or write us a letter. You can address it to Manager Debt Management Unit. Put the details of your employer, put your TIN details, and you will be sorted.
Yeah, and we'll do the rest. Okay, Lillian Cass from YouTube. Thank you for the presentation. There you go, flowers. Some payments for 2023 are missing I think in the new ledger. Also, interest not waived on some tax heads. Please advise when this will be updated.
We have a few taxpayers who are affected. Over the weekend, we sorted a number of them. Those who are remaining, kindly send us the queries. We'll have you sorted.
Okay, so same thing. You are a touch point. They can walk to us. They can write to us. We are everywhere. You cannot miss URA. We are physically, we're all over the place, and also on the internet, you can't miss us. So yes, there you go, Lillian. And Chentwala Fatuma from YouTube. Kindly inform the URA team in payments. This is feedback, okay. That when booking a payment, the banks in the system are not active, and okay. So some banks are missing for some taxpayers when they're making payments. Yes. So Fatuma, that feedback has been taken note of.
We are going to take it out.
Yes, we shall.
Thank you.
Thank you. And this platform is for both questions and your feedback, because it's through your feedback that we deliver better services to you. Okay. Okay, these are flowers from Kefas Birunji. Great presentation. And anonymous attendee. I've noted that the system can only allow you to utilize the full amount on the PRN. What happens when the payment I'm trying to relocate is above the principal and I have no other principal liabilities to cover.
I beg your pardon?
Okay. I've noted that the system can only allow you to utilize the full amount on the PRN. What happens when the payment I'm trying to relocate is above the principal and I have no other principal liabilities to cover?
What happens for that case, we'll use the functionality of credit transfer, the one that we are yet to give you. Because for it transfers the remaining balance. After you've netted off the liability of that particular period and you still have a credit, you can use it to offset other periods. So the functionality that you'll be using will be the credit transfer functionality, and how to use it, we'll have a webinar on that and we show you.
Okay. So there you go, anonymous attendee. This is in the pipeline. Tuja, we'll get there and we'll have a webinar for that. Fatima, we give your feedback was shared. Okay. Another anonymous attendee. I made a lump sum payment to settle my liability for the periods January 2021 to October 2022. However, allocation of payments on the system can't allow me to allocate that payment to the periods before June 2021 and after July 2023 at the same time. How do I go about it?
The functionality we'll bring you will sort
that out. Okay. Kefas from LinkedIn, she's asking, would you recommend an amendment in the law to sort out the two different laws relating to allocating payments, thus waivers, so as to harmonize them? Or can you configure the portal such that at filing the allocation of credit is posted instantly?
That is supposed to be instant. Because remember, we are going away from the Excel in terms of VAT.
Yes.
We are using the web forms now. At the point of you submitting your return, will be availing to you the available credit.
Okay.
So once you utilize them to be instant, or even on your ledger. So if you select particular credits relating to different periods, the moment you submit the return, those credits will move from wherever they were and they will be allocated that particular period you've been filing for, and it will be auto.
Okay.
So that will be sorted come next month as you're filing your return.
All right. Okay, Kristen, thank you very much. This has been, as always, a really fruitful webinar, and our taxpayer has learned so much from it. And the feedback is always overwhelming, positive, and the questions and the queries. So we thank you for always sparing the time to come here and join us. Okay, so I'm going to give one last person a chance for that question to get responded to. And this is, this is Paul. Okay, Tayot. He was here last week. Okay, so he's asking, hi, I'm just taking a look at our detailed ledger right now and the tax waiver column. I don't see the COVID waiver in what you said was between 30th June 2020 and 1st July 2020. How can we have this COVID waiver applied in our ledger guiding the process?
Oh, maybe they didn't qualify. We have clients who are so compliant that by that time, they didn't have any outstanding interest and penalties. So if you didn't have any outstanding penalties and interest then, definitely you didn't benefit from the waiver and you won't have any figure there.
Okay.
Same applies to this waiver. If by 30th June 2023, you had 0 outstanding interest and penalties, the best we can say, thank you for paying your taxes on time. You're so compliant that you don't need any waiver because we only waive outstanding penalties and interest.
Okay, so there you go, Paul. And okay, this is the final one. Do you foresee some errors/disputes arising from giving a taxpayer a choice to allocate the period when the credit should be utilized? Kefas Birunji.
One thing we believe, one, what are the things that can put a taxpayer in a credit position? There are about 3 things. The first thing, if it's for VAT, your input was more than the output. Hence, you have an offset position. Is that offset position genuine? Because stored on your ledger, it is your position. Because VAT is output minus input. So if your input is greater and you have your offset, you're entitled to it.
Okay.
If you got it through under declaring fraud, like invoice trading, audit will come for you. It's not the ledger to sort that. Audit will come for you. But as much, we cannot deny our taxpayers who are compliant their offset, because we know that there are those who are going to misuse it.
Yeah.
So we put it outside there for you, and then we let the audit team come and do the needful. It's like having a road, you know, that thieves use to go and attack others. You can't just close it.
Yeah.
Because even other good people, what?
Are using it.
The best you can do is to put the security. We have put IFRS to tight mark those who do invoice trading. The other way of getting a credit is by overpaying. What do I mean? My return was 5 million. I paid 7. Are you going to take away this excess 2 million from this taxpayer? It is his money he has
paid.
He has paid. You only have to be fair and just and allow them an opportunity to utilize their excess 2 million elsewhere. Because he might have given you the excess too because he had money then. Or because he had given you a return, but after amending it, he realized this is my correct position, it is 5, so I have an excess of 2. The next month, this particular taxpayer might want to give you 2 million less because he has his money with you. It is only fair and just, I repeat, to allow them move their what? Money to the next period. So for all those taxpayers who think they are going to misuse this functionality, it's not possible. Why? Where you have thieves attacking all thugs, people using a particular road, put security. We have IFRS, and we are also going to continue monitoring our tax statement. So we don't expect fraud. For all the credits that will be moving from the older periods, those are prior to 1st July 2021, the moment you move a credit from the older period to the new period, it will be subject to approval.
Okay.
So we verify the origin of that credit and award it why it is due. And if it's not, it will be rejected. So we don't expect, yes, the misuse. People might be thinking on how to misuse, but we as URA, we're also ready to do what we are supposed to do.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Kristen. Thank you, the viewers on LinkedIn, the viewers on Facebook, the viewers on X. You've been a great audience. And at this point, Kristen, please share with us your closing remarks. Then we can wrap up.
I would say thank you to our taxpayers, one, for paying your taxes. Thank you for developing Uganda. And we believe if everyone pays their equal share or fair share, we'll have our country developed. And thank you for tuning in. Because if we share with you and we're moving on the same page, we believe we'll have all our problems sorted. Because it's through your feedback that such good things are developed. So once we share with you and you give us feedback, we take it positively and we keep on serving you in the best way possible. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be together again, I think, next Tuesday, so that we can see how to use the credit transfer functionality. Have a blessed day.
Okay. Thank you very much, Kristen. Thank you for coming on the URA TV. And to our viewers, I cannot tire of saying thank you because you make these shows possible. Wafula Job, you were with us from the very start of the webinar. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Kefas Birunji. Thank you, Caesar Onen. You've been great. You've been great. And from all of us at URA TV, we say have a lovely day today and see you next week.